friends, welcome back. Today we're going to continue working on our Death Guard. So for today, last time we worked on getting all these like kind of copper parts marked in, and what we're going to do now is we're going to get some gunmetal on all the other metal bits that are not copper. And afterwards, we're going to go over some things with black again, just to do some cleanup. I've been trying to do most of my cleanup on camera, but some things I will go over as I get to them, because there are some little things I've fixed in between videos. So we're just going to get some of this Army Painter gunmetal and get cracking. So, here we go. Now, so for this little guy, we've got a bunch of places here that need metal, and I'm going to start with the little straps across the grenades on his chest. And we're going to try to get all of that. There's also the little pins for those grenades. Kind of get those going. Now this little bit here, I think I'm also going to paint that metal. And if we don't like it, we can always come back later and, make some tweaks. Other stuff that we might consider painting, it might be a little early, but we can also start dotting some of the rivets. And if we're a little messy, I'm okay with that, as I have established previously. Because a lot of what we're going to do is clean that up as we go. Now, this guy has some chainmail tabard right here. Kind of like a tabard. And we're going to get that in this metal color as well. He's got a little tentacle down here, and the spigot that it's coming out of, I'm going to get that metal as well. And we're going to wash our brush frequently for this. Partially because I'm using a number 2 brush here. So it's got a small tip, the reservoir is a lot smaller, and the paint just dries out a lot quicker. So we want to make sure that we're not letting paint dry and get stuck and goop up our little goopy guy. So next thing I'm going to do is focus on our little friend on the base here. So he's got a grenade pin dangling from his little horn. So we're going to get that as best we can. And then he's also got some little grenades down here. So I'm going to try to get some of the details on that to be silver, or this kind of gunmetal color. And yeah, I'll do a little bit more on this one. But I'm not going to worry too much, because for these little guys, we're gonna really goop this whole thing up, and that's probably not going to show very well, or not show at all, really. He's got a grenade pin in his hand here, so we're going to get that. Try not to get his fingers, but if we do, that's okay. Let's see, what else we got? Well, we've got a bunch of metal bits on his head here, so let's start getting some of those. So he's got like a little respirator that he's got going around the back. I'm going to try to get that. I'm going to get his little eye lenses, which we will be painting another color, but it'll be nice to kind of get the outside of the lens ahead of time and just kind of get that done. And yeah, we'll just kind of get all of that. Now, he's got a grenade here. We'll go ahead and we'll get the top of this in a metallic as well. And try to get this all squared away. The handle, I may paint like a brown, like a wood color. But in the meantime, I will just put a little paint on it. Because who knows, we may decide that with enough rust and grime, we can get it looking pretty good without needing to dip into any more colors. Just kind of getting the handle right there a little bit too, so you can kind of see. Now I'm going to clean my brush again. Make sure I'm doing that semi-frequently. Now I think I dipped a little bit too much water here, so I'm going to try to test this. That's a little runny, but let me pull in a little bit more paint. I think I like that consistency, like that's pretty good. So let's get gun barrel now. So I'm just kind of going around the edge there. Now the gun has like a stock on it that looks kind of wood in nature. Like it's kind of distressed. It's got some like streaks through it like it's been cracked. I might just paint that metal. And I'm going to get the gun's magazine metal as well. And some of these little markings here. And there's going to be some that are kind of up against the side of his leg that we're going to have trouble hitting. And that's okay. Like you can kind of see, I'm just getting a little bit of this. We can try to get the rest of this top part of the gun here. Let's see. How do we like this? How does this look? It's okay. Like I've said before, a lot of the washes and the rust and that kind of stuff that we're going to do to this is going to hide a multitude of sins, and it'll make this look a lot better. So I don't think we have to agonize about that. And yeah, okay. I'm kind of good enough at this. Like I know that we, let me get that little bit of green. Okay, so it's mostly metallic. I might have, I'll go over the handle actually with some black, but I think that this is fine. For the back of the legs, we've got these like little ridged parts here. These I'm going to paint in a metallic color as well, because I think that looks pretty nice. Like just kind of breaks up some of that green. There we go. So we got some of that there. Now the backpack, we can see there's a lot of stuff there that we haven't got any paint on. So we're going to get the backpack going. So for this guy, we got the little top part of his backpack in that copper color. And I think that looks pretty good. Now you could dry brush this on, and you would maybe run the risk of getting paint on other parts of the model. But for these models, it's kind of not a problem. I mean, as long as you don't go crazy. Like if you don't get the paint absolutely everywhere, I think you're kind of fine. And I may switch to a dry brush for some of these models, but for this one I think it's okay. I'm just going to keep using the brush. For the little vents on these guys, I did the outside of them in the copper. I'm going to do the inside with a little bit of metal here. Just a little dab will do ya. And I mean, these are not going to be incredibly visible, and I'm getting some on the rim of it, and it's okay. Like, that's fine. There's other little parts here, like connected to the little fleshy tubes that we can kind of hit metal. Some of the stuff attached to the backpack, like in between the back and the backpack itself. But other than that, we could also make some decisions like, what do we want to do with the belt and the straps? The belt and the straps, I think I'm just going to paint like with a black. So I'm not too worried about that. For the top of this gun, I also realize I'm not getting all of the gun there. But that's kind of okay. I'm going to do a little paint there. Yeah, a little bit more. But like I said, that's going to be largely hidden. We may even choose to do for this little pipe, just make that all metal too. Why not? Because we're going to goop this up, and I think it'll be fine. Also, I noticed, like, as we've gone, like, we've missed things. We've got too much copper down here in the leg. This little shoe is missing some green. That's okay. We're not going to stress about it. These are all things that we can fix. And when we do the next layer of paint, I can just paint over that. It's really pretty simple. So we're going to grab this. We're going to switch over to another guy. So we've got this fine fellow. Now he has, what has he got? Let's take assessment. So we've got his plasma gun. He's got kind of a chains hanging from his tabard. His little buddy down here is holding a gun, but it looks like it's mostly made out of flesh. There is some metal bits here. We'll go ahead and paint that as well. All of this stuff on the backpack that we missed. So all of that, the change there, and there's also this bit of chain here. And to call out stuff I did off camera, I realized this cape, I hadn't really decided what color that cape was going to be. So I picked that same taupe color that we were using for the bones. And what we're going to do is, instead of painting it just like the bone, we're actually going to make this go a little bit higher up that kind of ochre spectrum and lighten this up. And then we're going to make it look filthy with a bunch of washes. So I think that's how we're going to handle that. So I cleaned my brush out. I'm going to get some more paint here. And we're going to start going. And I'm just going to be fast. As fast as I am able to do this reasonably. Okay, and we're just going to keep doing that. I'm going to keep slapping paint on. I'm going to try to slow down a little bit as I get kind of to the bottom here, because I don't want to get paint on the robe. But if I do, it's okay. Like, we'll clean it up. Now, that looks okay. It's a little streaky here, and that's okay too. Now let's get these chains. Now the chains, I'm going to go slow-ish. And try not to get too much on the robe. I did a little bit, and that's okay. We'll clean it up later. And yeah, let's get some of these going. Try to get this thing that his little buddy is standing next to. And okay, and then let's get a little bit more down here. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna rinse the brush. Yeah, so I've been kind of excited to get to the steps where we can start making this look a little nicer, because the early steps are really, it looks bad. And it's definitely a thing where you've kind of got to trust the process. And like I've said before, like, I'm not a competition painter. I'm just someone who's enthusiastic. I love the hobby. I love doing this stuff. But I don't think of myself as being like a crazy good painter. I just like it. I just like doing it. So I'm getting the side of his helmet. He's got this little protrusion. So I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to try to get the other side as well, as much as I'm able. Now let's see. So the end of the gun, he's got a little fly icon. I'm going to assume that that's metallic as well. And for this plasma gun, I'm going to paint basically almost all of this metal. The one thing that we're going to come in later, because I want to try, so like these videos for me, part of this is like I'm encouraging myself to do my hobby. Like I love painting miniatures. I love being engaged in this hobby, but I'm really, after work you sometimes feel a little depleted and you don't have energy. And I'm trying to just make myself do this. Like hold myself accountable to, spend more time doing stuff that makes me happy. And I want to also use this as an opportunity to like try to do new things. So for example, like with the plasma gun, I've never tried to do like a plasma glow. And so I really want to give that a shot. And I think that would be a lot of fun to explore, like trying to do some OSL. And this is just a small thing. Like it would be starting really small. We're just doing one, like we only have one plasma weapon here. But like getting some practice with that, I think is a good idea. So I also, while I was yapping, I did get this little bit on his leg. He's got a fleshy bit here that I think will touch up with the violet. And yeah, we'll touch that up when we get back to this model after we've kind of done some other cleanup. Now I'm going to get this little metal bit on the ground here. I'm trying to not miss things, but I am trying to be honest when I do. Yeah, like I to be honest, I don't have the time to go through and edit everything anyways. And it's good to be accountable and just say like, you know what, yeah, I missed some things on my first pass through, because I feel like a lot of us do that. You get distracted, get a phone call, something like that, and then you come back and you start working on it and you're like, what was I doing? I think the side of the backpack here, I'm going to give a little more paint and see if I can get some in the inside here for the little pipes. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And again, we're just getting a lot of the base stuff down. We're going to be doing highlights and other stuff as we go. Okay, cleaning the brush. Debating on using a bigger brush. You know what? It's fine. Like I've said before, like you can use a bigger brush if you've got a brush that has a good tip. My brushes are in various states of disarray, so I don't have many that I would trust to do fine detail work. So this guy's got some chainmail around his face. So I'm going to go ahead and get that. Also, he's got a little hood here. I think we should also paint that an ochre. So that's going to be another cleanup thing I do off camera. And I was doing some thinking because I don't know how we want to paint this like kind of magical aura that's coming off the staff. I went ahead and painted parts of the staff to look like flesh because it does have like little holes and goo and like you can see some metal structure under, but it's clearly got like a fleshy vibe. But then up here, it's transitioning into like kind of a magical energy with little flies and maggots. And I want to do something interesting with this. So I've got a few kinds of turbo dork paint. Like I've got this like kind of red transition gradient, which I think looks pretty cool. This afterburner one I think might look nice on the edges of the plasma weapon, so that might be a thing we try. And where's another one I have? I'm trying to find it. It is, here we go. So there's this one, which is called Galaxia, and it looks like they recommend painting it over a black undercoat, and you have to do like 3 to 5 layers, which is wild to me, but I've never tried doing a color shift paint. So, yeah, we might do this for the magical stuff on these guys, just because I think that could be really fascinating. Also, I'm going to lower my desk a bit and hope that doesn't mess things up. Okay, so I'm going to dry my brush off a little bit, and we're going to get some more paint going. I'm just trying to make sure it's thin as possible. For this guy, he doesn't have a ton of extra metal bits that I'm going to paint. I'll do the back of his legs. We'll do those little, I don't know what these are supposed to represent, but yeah, we'll try to get some metal paint on those. These wings, I'm also thinking about doing some color shift paint on. And the flies, actually, because if you look at flies, like, you know, go to National Geographic or something, like they do have this kind of metallic sheen to parts of them, and or at least some varieties of fly do. And I think that's really cool. And I thought maybe we could do that for the wings, do that for the bodies of these little flies. That could be really, really cool. And, you know, that's another thing we can experiment with because I've never tried that and it might be really neat. So yeah, that's going to go on our list of things to experiment with. So after this video, I may go through and just kind of try to figure out all the different places where we would like to try using this color shift paint. And I think that could be, yeah, just like a fun experiment for us to mess with. See if we can make that look good on these guys. Okay, so I'm trying to get this backpack largely painted here. It's really the main metallic thing on this guy because he's got a lot of the fleshy bits. He's got a lot of like the little flies, but he doesn't have as much other metallics as the other guys in the squad. And then we're going to get those exhaust ports as well. We're just going to dip a little bit in here. I'm trying not to clog in all these details because we are going to come in with washes after. And having some space for the wash to get in there will be pretty nice. Yeah, okay. I think this guy is also good. We're going to just let that go. Yeah, so some of the cleanup for that guy, we'll paint the magic parts in black to prep it for those turbo dark paints. So let's get another guy going. Now, I always I watched a lot of Warhammer painting tutorials, and I've watched a lot of people who do it online, and I also grew up like going to my local hobby store and like looking at like White Dwarf magazine and like using that as a thing to like try to learn how to paint. And I still follow a lot of those rules, but I also just kind of have done my own thing. And you know, it's interesting, like I think doing a little exploration and like not being afraid to make mistakes is really important. Just in general, because it is really easy to get into a thing where it's like, oh no, I'm not painting it exactly like the person in this tutorial showed me, and now I'm worried that I'm ruining my little expensive war dolly. And you're not ruining it. And friends, if I could encourage you to do one thing, it's just allow yourself some grace and paint your toys. You know, have fun with this. Like, don't worry about it being perfect. Matter of fact, I'm going to make a decision right here that I want to paint this whole, I don't know, is this considered a vambrace? His, you know, forearm pad here. I'm going to have to look up vambrace later to see if that's actually the word we use for this. But I'm going to just paint this all kind of a gunmetal color, because this guy does have a lot of the kind of copper color, and I do want there to be some differences. Like I want there to be some little parts that pop out. Okay, where else we got? So we got his backpack. So we got a bunch on this that we need to do. So we're just gonna try not to make too big of a mess. And I'm trying to not go too thick on the paint, but, you know, get some basic metal down here. And if the coverage isn't perfect, it's okay. We're gonna do a little bit of cleanup and also washes, and some of the other stuff, the other steps that we're gonna be taking are gonna make this look a lot nicer. I'm being a little aggressive with this, but that's okay. I'm going to get the hilt of this blade. Actually, I might just do a little bit on the handle there. Why not? We can see a little bit of the back part that's connecting to the backpack. I'm just giving a little bit there. Going to wash the brush out. But yeah, I've been excited to try to get these guys going. Doing the videos has really motivated me to try to just get more done, get more hobby stuff done, because I have an atrocious backlog that I have accumulated over the years. Because I always have these like grand ideas of what I'm gonna do, and like, oh yeah, like I could, you know, make a warband for this one game, or you know, build an army for my friends and like we can play together. Or I had a really crazy one before I joined a Blood Bowl league in the city I lived in. I was going through and I was like, okay, I've got a bunch of boards for Blood Bowl. I've played it for years, like, I don't know, a very long time at this point. And I was like, I have enough teams, like I could maybe start like a little league where I teach people how to play and I'm providing, you know, all the miniatures and stuff and the boards, and I could like, you know, kind of run the event to try to get that hobby going. And like that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to do that kind of thing. And I think I get a little over ambitious for the amount of free time that I have. And so now I'm trying to be more realistic, but I also, like, I don't want to completely lose those feelings of excitement about, you know, like dream projects, like big, you know, whether it's building an army or making a bunch of Blood Bowl teams so that I can teach people how to play, you know, that kind of thing. And so I'm kind of using this to inspire myself to like, okay, what's my next big project? Because this I'm doing for a friend. I like Death Guard, and I've liked other editions of Kill Team. I haven't played this current edition, but I think that, you know, maybe I might do the Space Marine Kill Team that comes with the starter box, just as a like another thing to kind of have here, so I could actually play a game, even if I just played a solo game, which I might try if I can clear out some table space, because that could be fun. Like, you know, I kind of want to try the solo rules just because it is harder for me to find people to play with. I'm going to get these little ear things and paint those a metallic color. Okay, so I painted random bits on this gun. I think I'm going to paint a lot of the like upper parts here. I'm going to paint those black because I think I kind of like that. Now under here, he's got a little tabard. And this is a place where I'm going to do some cleanup later because the tabard, I believe, I also want to paint this that ochre color. Oh, little guy. I just tapped him right on his head. So now he's got a little metal skull. Okay, little buddy. Let's try to clean you up a little bit. I'm just taking a little bit of water in my brush, and I'm trying to rub it all over the top of this Nurgling. And I think I've done a pretty good job of getting most of it off. Yeah, there we go. So that's actually a good example of like how to fix a mistake. Because, you know, if you know, just take a breath if you don't panic, you got a little time, and like I just dolloped a huge amount of metal paint on that little guy. If you just get a clean brush with a little bit of water on it, you can just rub your brush over the top of it to get rid of that little mistake, and save yourself a little bit of time later. So we're going to go back and we're going to get some more metallic on our brush. And we're going to try to get some more of these metal chains that are down here by the tabard. But yeah, afterwards I'll try to get this tabard painted the ochre color. And try to get the side of this. And now he's got some more chain here. I'm going to try to get a little bit behind him. This, most people are not going to see that bit, but I'm going to do it anyways. I do try to if I see it, but a lot of times I will ignore that stuff. Or like paint it in a dark color that is not very visible, because the reality is like underneath his arm, like that is going to be a darker color. Like just because of the shading, like you're not getting direct light there. Okay, yeah, so yeah, we put a little bit on the chains. Let's get these back of leg bits, kind of like the new Mark II Horus Heresy Space Marines. I have a Horus Heresy box. I did get the Saturn 9, and at some point I do want to crack into that, because that is also an exciting thing for me. I have too many exciting things piled up. I also really love, like, Blood Bowl and Warcry are probably two of my favorite games to actually play. And I like them because they don't require a huge investment in terms of time or money or miniatures, because like Blood Bowl, you've got one team of 12 to 16 guys, or I'm sorry, 11 to 16 guys. And Warcry, it's also like kind of low model count, low-ish model count. Usually you're running like 5 to 6, maybe more if you're doing like an army that has a lot of spam units. Not spam, but like a lot of chaff. But yeah, no, I love those games, and I have a bunch of kits for that I would love to get to, because I really love those games. Warcry, I'm really hoping that they continue to support, because we haven't had any like real updates in quite a while. And I mean, we did get a couple of box sets a while back. The one with the OCR Bone Reapers, and the Sylvaneth, I believe. I think, or there's another one that had the oh goodness, what are they called? Lumineth Realm Lords, and some of their guys with some Night Haunt. But those two sets, I didn't get those because those factions are not really doing it for me. And that's okay. Everybody's different. Everyone's got different tastes. But yeah, they're not really my thing. I try to be pretty open-minded about the models, though. For me, I mostly play factions based on what I enjoy the look of. Because if I'm not enjoying the aesthetic of it, it's going to make it pretty hard for me to want to, spend a lot of effort to build and paint everything. But yeah, so some of my projects are around just kind of getting through my backlog. I also have like entire armies I would really like to do and finish. Like I have a Seraphon army for AOS. I'm pretty sure I've close to a whole army that I've kind of collected over the years. I'd say only about a third of them are built. So I'd kind of like to do that. And I also have a lot of goblins and orcs. I have a bunch of stuff. I had an old world army too that I was building because I played in the square-based online tournament when that came around, and that was a lot of fun. I feel like I'm not very good at that game. I would need to practice a lot more. and I need to do a lot of work to like make something for that. Like army building for any game is arduous. And it's not for the faint of heart because of just how much effort it is. But I think, like anything else, it's all about you just do one small thing at a time. And I should just talk about what I'm doing here. So I'm just, for this gun, I'm trying to paint everything that is not already copper, like in a metallic. And for this little, like, I don't know what you would call this part right here. I think this part I'm going to leave black. So I might come over and clean that up with black. Because some of these I do like, I like there being a little bit of difference in the materials. I think it adds to like the visual interest. The handle here, I'm going to get metallic. I'm going to get a little bit of metal on the part I want to paint black, but that's okay. We'll clean that up after. I'm going to get this little knobby thing here. And then all the stuff coming out of the back of here. We'll get that and the handle going to this other hand. And yeah. But yeah, other projects I really, yeah, so I have the Seraphon I'd like to do. I have Orcs and Goblins, or Oryx and Gloomspite Gits, if you prefer. And I also have like Flesh Eater Quartz. Like I have a lot of AOS because of the two settings, like of sci-fi and oh look, I kind of glued this awkward. Oh well, I'll have to fix that, or maybe no, it's actually secured. We're gonna pretend it's fine. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna clean the brush. Yeah, between 40k and AOS, I do actually prefer like a fantasy setting. And it's not that I don't like 40k, because like I do like some of the stuff there. I just, in terms of the games, I tend to like the fantasy stuff more. Now let's see here. Let's do the back of the legs again. We got that. I'm gonna get those little stripy bits there. And let's get this backpack. So this backpack has a lot. This is another thing I did after the fact. The tubing here has a really distinctly fleshy look. So I was like, you know what? We're going to paint that fleshy, or make it look as fleshy as possible. And so when we get to the other fleshy bits, I am going to continue to try to paint that like everything else. And honestly, they do have, like, this little part here is also kind of fleshy, like it's got goo coming off of it. I'm going to paint it metallic, and we may choose to come in after and put some flesh tone on it, but for right now, I'm just going to leave it as is. Yeah, I have a bunch of really ambitious projects I'd like to do. I also really like Necromunda. And I have the dream of doing a modular board for that. I live in a very tiny apartment, so I do not have the space to do any kind of crazy elaborate boards. But I like the idea of using the, like, GW has these like 1 foot by 1 foot floors for Necromunda that have like kind of the imprinted like metallic details, like the industrial flooring look. And I'd kind of like to take those and have a bunch of just like 1 foot by 1 foot sections that you can interchangeably put on the table in a bunch of different configurations and have it look like a cool, battlefield to play your games of Necromunda on. And so that's a hobby project I really want to do. The problem with it is it's also like storage, because again, I don't have a lot of room. So I'm kind of debating on, if I start doing that, where do I put it? So that may be a much longer term project. But that is a thing I would love to do because I haven't really done a lot of scenery stuff. You know, I've done little bits of basing here and there, but no big terrain pieces of note. Okay, I think we've got most of the extra bits here. So let's go to our last guy in the squad. Let's get him in here. Let's clean our brush. Oh, and I need a little bit more paint. Try not to get too much because I don't need a ton. This is probably too much. That's okay. Oh, you see, look at, we missed this guy's sword. You know what? I'm gonna paint it metal. I'm gonna paint it the gunmetal, and we'll rust it up and make it look gnarly. But yeah, every time I come here, I'm seeing new stuff. Like, and this has got a little tentacle bit off of it too. Oh, I did paint it. Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? I'm gonna make it consistent. So I'm gonna paint this other side with a little bit of this, and it's still gonna show some of that copper through. So that'll be fine. That'll be fine. But once we goop that up, you're not going to even notice. So for this guy, he's also got a little tabard of chainmail. So we're going to get a little bit of that down here. That's going to take a wash very nicely and look really good. The side of the head here has got these like little bumps. I don't know what those are supposed to be. But we're going to paint them a metal color. Now this guy, I made a bit of a mess when I was doing the pink down here, or the violet. So I'm going to try to be a little careful and put some metallic here. I'm going to try to not get it on the worm, but I probably will get a little bit unintentionally, but you know, it's bound to happen. And one coat is not going to be good enough coverage for this to get over all that, but that's okay. Because like I said, we're going to be doing a bunch of stuff after to really pump these up a bit. But I'm just going to get a little bit on here because with all the washes and using like the, you know, the rust effects and the verdigris, we're going to be able to really make these look quite nice, even with kind of minimal coverage. Because eventually we're just going to be layered up enough that we'll get the opacity that we actually want. I'm going to try to not get metal on my little friend on the pole here. I really love this little guy who's hanging out of here. He is adorable. This other little face here, I think we could also paint that as like a fleshy bit, but I think I'm going to have it be metal. I think that just looks nice. Plus, I think it's nice too to like have this be metal as a decorative bit, and then it's right next to this little guy who's trying to be just like him. I think that's cute. Okay, little guy. Let's try not to get too much paint on you. Okay, that's looking okay. Now to the back side. Let's get this as nice as we can. Try not to go too crazy with the paint. And you can see here, I'm just kind of dragging my brush over the top of this without really going in the nooks and crannies too much, and that's kind of good. Like that's kind of the concept for dry brushing, really. You're just dragging it over the top, and whatever sticks, sticks. And it leaves the darker part in the recesses, that black color that was our base coat. And I think that works really well. So I'm going to clean the brush, and let's get his backpack. the back of his legs and his bolt gun. So we're just going to do this right now. Get that going. Just do it real quick. And then we're going to come back and we're going to do those black updates. Each video I've tried to have each video be like its own distinct step in the process, and then at the very end I would just stitch it all together as one really obscenely long video. But yeah, for this one I guess we'll kind of have two steps, like a little bit of cleanup and a little bit of metal work here. Just trying to make sure I don't get too much on the tentacles. I'm going to get a little bit on there, and that's okay. Let's get the back of these legs. Yep, there we go. Trying to make sure I've got the camera in focus, which is not always easy. And then he's just got a little gun in a holster. I'm honestly, maybe I'll just paint the handle metal, and then the holster for this pistol, I might just paint that all black. That might be part of what I do in the black color, just to clean it up a bit. Oh, and I've got the back side of the icon pole here. Try to not get too much everywhere. Okay, little fella. Let's not get it on your little paw. And you know what? Good enough for me. Good enough for who it's for. All right. Yeah, I like that. This guy's got a little dangly talisman at the end of his sword. I'm going to get that as well in the middle. Yeah, we're just going to do some touch-up now. So we're going to take these, and I'm going to get some black paint. I've already shaken it up beforehand, so it's probably fine. I'll rotate my messy palette here. All right. I'm going to switch brushes and water. So I have two different water cups here, because you do kind of want to keep them separate. You don't want to accidentally get metallic flakes in your other stuff. And afterwards, you can wash your brushes really well and then, use them for whatever. But in the middle of painting, you probably want to make sure you're not cross-contaminating everything. This one is just an AK number 2. So this is actually a new brush I bought because so many of my brushes are in a rough state. Okay, so we were just talking about this guy, stuff we want to do black. Okay, we're going to touch up this. We're going to make his little holster here, clean this up, and try to make this look as nice as possible. Now this one, it is kind of nice to use a brush that has a good tip, because we want to try to be a little bit more precise as we're doing cleanup. And I'm also going to not be as rough with this, because with a lot of the other paint brushes, you can see I'm getting a little wild. I'm getting a little crazy with it. And, we don't need to do that here. We can try to spare this this paintbrush from the fates of the paintbrushes that have come before it. Okay, so at that point I've got this all black now. Is there anything else? We can kind of see the tabard between his legs, but I'm not going to mess with that. Is there anything else here I want to do black? I don't think so. So I think we're going to move on. Now we're backtracking. We're doing it kind of in reverse order here. Okay, I'm going to clean out the brush. off. We're going to get a little of that black paint going. One of the things I'm trying to also do is, like, I'm trying to not get the paint all the way up to the ferrule. We don't want to get all the paint in the ferrule because if it dries in there, it can cause a lot of problems and really mess up your paintbrush and really shorten its lifespan. And so I'd like to avoid doing that if I can. So to talk about what I'm doing right now is, this is that guy that we just worked on a moment ago. I'm just going to put some more black paint on top of this little, like, casing, I guess. I don't know what you would call this. I don't know a lot about firearms or how you would classify this part, but I think it'll look a little bit nicer with a clean black kind of tone there instead of all the junk that we sprayed all over it. So then other stuff that might be black on this guy. He's also got the back of his tabard. I'm not going to worry about that. I think that he's fine for the black touch-up. Let's move on down the list. Yeah, I like doing painting this way. I like having, like, not a huge number, but, you know, like maybe 10 models at a time that I'm working on, because I just find that that is a good number for me. And this is maybe a weird format for this video, because, like, I don't see a lot of people paint this way. I mean, I'm sure people do, but I don't see it a lot, and I'm chronically online, and I watch a lot of people paint. But I don't know. Okay, so we're going to get his gun casing. That's what I'm going to call it. I don't know if that's right. But we're going to paint this black, and we're going to try to make sure not to get paint on the metallics that we literally just did. So we're going to do our best. It's possible I will still make a mistake, but, you know, yep. If I do, so be it. Okay, so that part looks good. Let's get it from above. Trying to get close to the chest there without getting too much on the chest itself. I'd like to avoid that if possible. All right. Also, I will say, if people would like to give feedback, you're welcome to. I've thought about, I'm trying to slowly improve the videos every time. Like, I have a new camera set up now. I tried to work on an intro with a friend of mine, and they helped me, and they did a really wonderful job. Thinking about adding music to the background, because I know I'm kind of quiet. And maybe people would like to hear music instead of hearing me yammer. So, you know, there's that. You know, this is interesting. We see this, like, bit back here. I think of that kind of like the rubber on the back of, like, the Space Marine's legs and, like, in some of the joints. You know, maybe we'll paint that black as well, you know? Maybe that's a good solution for this, like, little back area here. So let's try to do that. Trying to be very careful because I don't want to get it everywhere, but I would like to give that some definition. I'm going to try not to get it on the other parts of this guy. I did just get it on the knife. Luckily for us, we're going to paint over that, so perfect. And yep, that guy's fine. All right, this little guy, what has he got? Do I need to paint anything black here? So we're thinking about doing the like magical, or maybe not even magical, maybe like the pestilent gas, that turbo dork paint. I might try painting the stuff coming out of the sensors black to get them ready for trying that. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to get these like little wisps of toxic smoke, and I'm going to paint them black because they recommend a black base coat. And I'm going to follow their instructions because, yeah, I've never tried a color shift paint before, so it seemed pretty silly for me to go against their instructions. Okay, so that's just a little bit on this guy. I mean, I'm seeing this joint again. This is actually probably a good place for like a black contrast paint, like getting these like little joints. Since I'm already using this black, I'm just going to do this. And I'm going to try to get the stuff that's behind his back here, like right in this area. We'll see how I do. Okay, yeah, mostly. I can't really even see that other side, so since I can't see it, I'm not going to worry about it. And then for this, I might paint the handle for this black. Because for a lot of the stuff for these guys that I'm thinking is like leather, I'm just going to paint black. Because we're going to have a lot of greens and browns for this paint scheme. And I think it would be nice to break it up with something that's not more brown. You know, I feel like that's a reasonable thing to say. All right. I'm going to clean my brush again. We're going to get some more black paint. Rinse and repeat. We're almost done. We got 3 more guys. So this guy, he was one of our big ones. So for the flies and for the magic stuff, I'm just going to basically go over these in black again because I think they're going to be largely that color shift paint. And I've noticed that this little fly here is actually carrying one of those little balls, little sensors that have the plague gas coming out of them. So we might come back and add that to our list of cleanup. I'm going to get the backside of this guy with some black because his backside's actually got a bunch of green paint on it. So I told you we were going to clean up, and we are going to. His other wing has got a lot. Okay. Okay, little fella, how you doing now? You mostly cleaned up? Mostly. He's got maybe a little bit here. Okay. And then this part here, I'm going to try to get a little close to the hand and just clean up the areas where we got a little wild with our green earlier. Try to not... Now, I'm going to be real. There's a lot of little details in this smoke. There's like a lot of little maggots, a lot of little flies. I don't know if I'm going to paint all that. I just don't. I mean, I might try. We'll see. We'll see how I feel. Because like meticulously painting every maggot feels excessive, but you know, you do you. I think I may choose to forego painting every maggot in the magic smoke area. Okay, now I'm trying to get this like bit here without ruining my previous metal with the copper. And if I do get stuff on those, again, we're fine. We'll clean it up. We're going to try to make it look as nice as we're able within reason. And that'll be that. Because, I mean, that's the thing, I think, with this for me, is it's like, it's part of it is like, I want to learn to do better. I want to learn to try new techniques. And I want to, like, improve the quality of my painting. And I think a lot of that is with trying to be dedicated in practice. Like practicing goes a long way. And I have a history in education, so like I know that for practicing, that's how you're going to get it drilled into your head. Like just doing a little bit of miniature painting every day will go a long way. And in my case, I'm trying to do something hobby related every day, even if it's not something I'm recording. Like I might be working on building. Right now, I'm like almost done building the Space Marines that come in the Kill Team starter set. That come opposite of these Death Guard guys. And yeah, like just trying to engage with your hobby a little bit, I think is really good. So I'm going to clean this brush because it's starting to get dry. And I don't want to get paint dried in the bristles. I'm going to have to use some brush soap on this later because I'm already seeing black paint up near the ferrule, which I don't like, but it's my fault. I probably kept that paint in there a little too long. And also let it go too far up the brush. Now, earlier in our discussion, we talked about how we're going to do these wings. We're going to do these wings in that color shift paint. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to paint these black. And we're going to get these base coated in black so that we can do some color shift fun on these. And I'm excited to see if it looks good. It may look bad, but that's kind of the point of this, is just to try stuff. Experiment, see what floats our boat, see what makes us happy. I'll try to get the other side of these wings, try to get behind it there. Getting the back of the wing is going to be a little more challenging, but I'm trying. Definitely missing some back there, but I'll try to get it from another angle in a moment. Right now, I just want to finish this up. Get these going. Okay. Get this little bit here. And you see for some of these flat areas, I'm actually trying to paint with like the side of the paintbrush. I find that it just makes it easier. And also you save the tip of your brush too, because, if you're using the tip of your brush, you might accidentally slip and have it go somewhere you don't want to go. And if you're doing this, you have like a lot more control over how you're using the brush. And yeah, I think that helps a lot. Now, the little bit I'm missing behind this guy, I'm going to see if I can. I'm going to say I've got as much of that as I possibly can. So yeah, we're going to have to leave that and just say it's good enough, because I'm going to try to get some of that color shift paint on that backside, but I can't see it hardly, and I don't think anyone else is either. So yeah, we got all that smoke back to a black color and the flies, and we're getting ready for that color shift paint. Cleaning my brush again. And we got 2 guys left. Now, the thing is, does this guy even need any? He's got a little bit here on his stomach where we could do some flesh color. We could do some flesh color there. There's got like a little socket there. We could have done that in metal. I don't think this guy has any places where I would paint black. So I think he's fine. I don't think we need to do that with him. Unless, do we want to paint black on the top part of the plasma gun? You know what? Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to get a little more black paint. Try to get a nice smooth layer. This paint is probably 15 years old. I don't know. It's been in my collection a very long time. And I am trying to finish using it. Good old Vallejo black. But I've kind of moved on to using other brands. I was a little sad to hear about how Vallejo was treating their employees. And so I've switched to other brands since then. Okay, here we go. Let's just get that. Yeah, I think that that'll probably look fine. We're going to do that. Let's get a little bit more. We're going to try to get this little bit near the handle. I don't want to make too much of a mess, but I do think it looks nice to have a little bit of different tones. Also, if we're going to make this part glow, having the areas around it be darker, I think is smart, just from a standpoint of making it pop more. Okay, let me just very carefully do that. And then actually for the color shift paints, we were thinking about doing this afterburner, and this one says black. Okay. Yeah, so we'll actually paint the tip of this gun black as well for the plasma gun, because we'll try to use that. And I don't know if that's going to be too much, of us doing a color shift paint on the tip of the gun to represent the heat is going to be too much with the glow that we want to do. But we won't know until we try. So I think we're good there. Okay, let's put this guy back. And then we've got just this one last dude. One last little lad. I'm going to clean the brush. Okay. So the main things for this guy is we're going to get his strap that's holding his grenades, his belt. It might be interesting. I was thinking maybe make this black. No, maybe not. And then for the gun, we'll do black on this handle part and the top part, whatever we want to call that. And then we can see a little bit of that rubber kind of stuff and the belt back here. So we'll try to do that. We'll try to get that going. All right. Okay. Let's get this going here. Let's get the case of the gun. The handle had a little paint on it, so I might as well fix that up while I'm here. I think I intentionally painted it metal because I got metal paint on it already, and I was just kind of going with the flow, but I'm going to fix that. And then let's get this front part. Okay. Okay. And I think that's pretty good. I might do a little bit around the handle here. Just a little bit. Just to break up the colors. I am kind of going over some of the work I've done previously, but that's okay. And then we want to get that belt. Actually, let me get a water in this. This paint is a little thick. Yeah, this is where I think using like a speed paint would be nice for some of these bits. So let's get that belt and this part, kind of lay in that black. And we're going to get the strap here. I'm going to try very hard not to get it on the grenades or the chest as much as I'm able. I can see a little bit of it down under here. I'm going to try to get that. And okay, and then we're going to go around the side. Keep getting that kind of seal there and this belt. And I did just get a little bit on the butt plates, so I'm going to quickly clean my brush out. I've got a bunch of water on it, and I'm just going to gently rub that paint. Yep, so I'm breaking it up a little bit, getting some more water. Gently rub. A little more water. Gently rub, and then I'm going to do the different brush that's dry. Try to suck up some of that water. So I left a little mark there, unfortunately. But that's okay. We'll paint over that. And honestly, since this is kind of in the crease, like in the seam, the washes and stuff are going to pile up there, and that'll hide that. So I'm okay with that. And technically the base has some grenades down here and some other stuff. We're going to put mud basing all over this and hide a bunch of that stuff because, yeah, I just feel like it. Okay, so now the question is, do we do the rest of the... What have we got here? We could go through with the taupe and pick out some of those taupe parts. So I'm going to do that. Use the old vortex mixer to mix up my paint a little bit. Oh boy, is this getting stuck in here? There we go. Okay, so taupe. Does this guy have any other places that needed taupe? Nope. Alright, so let's put him back. This next guy. So I painted his cape. This guy's got teeth there. Ooh, we did miss some chainmail here. Okay, we're gonna freestyle a little bit. We're gonna put some metal here. Oh, that's a lot of metal. Okay. We're gonna get some metal and some taupe. I have two different brushes, I have two different things. So let's get some of this metallic with our brush that we're using for metallics. And we're going to go through and we're going to try to catch a bunch of the stuff that we missed earlier. So I'm just going to get those painted. I'm going to get a little bit of metallic over this little thing on his chest. And I think this guy has everything else, so I'm not going to worry about them. Actually, I'm going to go back to the guy that we worked on the last part of this little cycle. So for this guy, did we miss any metals? No. We could do the seals for his like joints in his waist. You know what? Yeah, so I'm going to clean the paint out of this brush since we're not going to do that right now. We're going to switch to our other brush, get a little bit of water on it. We're going to get that paint, that black paint. Okay, and let's get in between the leg here if we can, and just get a little bit of that seal. And then I'm going to try to do the same for this stuff along the waist. Okay. Okay. This guy, okay, he does have a tabard. So we're going to use that taupe, and we're going to put a little paint on that tabard. The tabard is a little hard to reach because of the tentacles, but that's okay. We're gonna do our best to just get a little bit of paint on it. Okay. So I'm just gonna try to thread the needle there, and I am gonna get some on that pink tentacle because it is just too close to what I'm doing. However, I'm gonna rinse my brush almost immediately. I'm gonna try to grab as much of this off as I can right away by just taking that wet brush and wicking away that paint while it's still wet. Okay, got a little bit on the top of this guy too, so I'm going to get a little more water, get it off the top of this guy, dry my brush, use the capillary action to kind of suck up some of that paint, and if we look now, you know, there's still a little bit on there, but like we cleaned a bunch of that off, so that's, for me, that's pretty good. We're okay with this. Now I'm going to get some taupe, and I'm just going to try to thread between the legs and get the little bit of the tabard down here. And the reality is, like, since this tabard is like not that visible and it's kind of hard to get to, what I'll probably do is we're just going to give that a wash, and then we're not going to pay much more attention to it. And also, this one's got a horn here. It could be a tentacle, it could be a horn. I think we make it a horn. Okay, perfect, perfect. All right, let's go back and see. Did we miss anything here? This guy's got the tabard on the back as well. So we're gonna just paint it this taupe, and we'll give that a wash and call that done. Yeah, we can't really see it very well. I'll try to put a little paint on it here. Boy, that is in an inconvenient location. It's almost like I should have painted in sub-assembly. It's almost like I always have this problem. Well, you know what? The next set of models I do, I am going to try to do sub-assembly. Like my next big set of things, I'm going to try to do that because it is tough. Okay. I'm going to clean my brush and clean off his little head because I got a bunch of that taupe on top of our little Nurgling. And he doesn't want that. He's just trying to smear goop around. Okay. All right. This guy's fine. Okay, this guy's also got a tabard that is sorely lacking in the ochre department. So we're gonna just, ooh, that's way too much water. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, that's good enough. Yeah, so we're gonna just try to get some base colors on the tabard here. I'm trying to make sure that I don't whack the camera with my face. That's good. Okay, so that looks fine. We did put some on the little skeletons on his shoulder pad. I'll also put some on the skeletons on the forehead here. And you can see the water's kind of pooled up there. I'm just going to tap this after drying off my brush. I'm going to get a little water. And then I'm going to try to get some of that off the side. You can see that I cleaned it up a little bit. It did take a little bit off this one, but that's fine. And then from the back side, we can see a little bit of the tabard, so I'm just gonna paint it. And there's some chainmail there too. If I put enough paint, it'll look just like a tabard, won't it? And then it'll be fine. Okay, that's fine. Let's go to our next little friend. This guy's got a tabard as well. So let's get that tabard going. I just got a little bit on the leg there. So I'm going to wash my brush. We're going to get some of that water. And I'm just going to very carefully do that. And just soak it up with a slightly drier brush. Pat it out on the paper towel. And there we go. We cleaned up that mistake almost immediately. And I mean, this guy's got lots of cleanup places that we're going to get, so I'm not too worried. We are going to try to get the back of him as well, because he's got his tabard visible here between his legs. And again, we're just going to use a wash and stuff to get that looking nice. And yep, we're fine here. Everything else is kind of okay. And then this guy, he also has a tabard that we did not get to. So I'm gonna try to get that. And I think this is the last of our little cleanup steps that we're gonna do for this video. I wasn't originally gonna do these. I was gonna try to do them off camera, but you know what? It's fine. I kind of like showing the whole process, because I know a lot of the videos are kind of made to be shorter and more digestible, but they gloss over like things like mistakes and missing things, and I am trying to be genuine in this, and showing that, like, hey, you know what, I make mistakes. I am far from perfect, and sometimes you just got to come back later and fix things that you painted previously. One of my other projects I was thinking about doing is having a kind of show where I repaint miniatures that I have previously painted, just to try to do a better job. Like, I have a Orc Commandos kill team, and I love those models, but I did like a slap chop paint job, and I really didn't like it. So I may redo that in the next video. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you're still listening, please like and subscribe. I appreciate it. And just, feel free to leave me a comment too if you like what I'm doing, or if you have constructive criticism. I'm happy to hear it. Okay. Take care now.